Right, let's jump straight into this. We've all been hearing the constant buzz about AI lately. It's absolutely everywhere. But for this explainer, we're zooming in on a very specific, deeply philosophical clash: artificial intelligence intersecting with the profoundly human act of making music. We're going to be drawing heavily on a really thought-provoking argument made by musician and YouTuber Adam Neely. He breaks down exactly what happens to art when we prioritize pure efficiency and basically just automate the creative process.
To set the stage here, Neely uses this brilliant, kind of hilarious analogy to highlight how prompt-based AI music generation automates ideas without demanding even an ounce of actual skill. Think about it. Just because you can type into a text box and order an AI to spit out a reggae song about your houseplants, that doesn't magically make you a musician. It's exactly like how customizing your DoorDash order doesn't make you a chef. You aren't cooking the meal. You're just customizing a product that something else is delivering right to your door.
So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. First, we'll look at the AI music disruption, then craft versus consumer taste, the copyright consent dilemma, narcissism and cultural isolation, and finally, the human imperfection premium. Let's get right into it.
Okay, Section 1, the AI music disruption. Now, as wild and unprecedented as generative AI feels right now, the music industry has actually survived massive technological disruptions before. I mean, the invention of recorded music itself terrified live performers back in the day. Then we got synthesizers, drum machines, MIDI controllers, and with every single leap, critics literally screamed that it was cheating or that it was the absolute death of real music. But inevitably, musicians adapted. They used these exact tools to invent entirely new genres and skill sets that we completely cherish today.
But here's where things get a little tricky, and it brings us to this concept of deskilling. It's incredibly reminiscent of highly skilled mechanics suddenly being replaced by the 20th century assembly line. The real fear being raised here isn't just about job losses, as bad as that is. It's about the erosion of the art form itself. When we just routinely hand over our creative faculties to an automated process, we run a massive risk of losing the very skills, the nuances, the sheer physical disciplines that make the art form possible in the first place.
Which leads us to a really vital question about commercial generative AI platforms like Suno or Udio. Are these platforms just the next synthesizer? A complex new tool just waiting for a human to come along and master it? Or are they something entirely different, a fundamental replacement mechanism designed to bypass the artist's mind, body, and discipline altogether?
That takes us to Section 2, craft versus consumer taste. The crucial argument here really contrasts the physical act of making music with the passive act of just consuming it. Look at the stark difference between honing a physical craft over years versus just repeatedly pulling an AI slot machine lever based purely on your consumer taste. True craft requires embodiment, right? It takes muscle memory, pouring finite time into a discipline, and learning how to actually predict the outcomes of your physical actions. But using an AI generator, that is driven entirely by what you prefer to consume. Zero physical engagement, no patience required, and zero actual skill development. See, when we hand over idea generation to a machine, we just stop building that muscle memory. The argument here is that coming up with a concept and then slogging through the incredibly messy process of bringing it to life is fundamental to creativity. Bypassing all of that with a quick text prompt completely removes the human friction that actually makes great art. We essentially lose the struggle that gives the music its meaning.
Let's move on to Section 3, the copyright consent dilemma.
We really have to unpack the ethics of training these AI models on existing art because it is deeply tied to how these machines function behind the scenes. Think about the deep contrast between a human spending hours learning a cover song versus a machine indiscriminately scraping millions of copyrighted files. When a human learns another artist's song, it is the highest compliment. They're showing respect, letting it live inside their body through muscle memory. But generative AI models, they ingest billions of data points without a single ounce of consent from the artists. It's literally just a brute force mathematical calculation.
And the source uses this absolutely fantastic analogy to dismantle the defense that tech companies always use when they're challenged on this. Those companies love to claim, oh, our AI is just learning from listening to music exactly like a human musician does. But, as the argument goes, claiming an AI learns like a human is like saying a submarine swims like a human. It's a completely false equivalence. It operates on a massive, mechanical, and deeply inhuman scale.
So, Section 4, narcissism and cultural isolation. This shifts us from the ethical implications into some deeply social ones. And honestly, what's fascinating and maybe a little bit terrifying is how hyper-personalized AI music is leading listeners to only consume their own generated tracks. In online communities dedicated to AI music, when you ask users who their biggest influences are, the answer is increasingly just myself. Streaming algorithms have already kind of started separating us, but AI generation threatens to lock us entirely inside our own personal echo chambers.
And that highlights the real danger of treating music merely as a customized product rather than a shared cultural experience. Think about being at a wedding, right? Everyone rushes the dance floor the second Don't Stop Believing comes on. That shared cultural knowledge is so deeply communal. If we all retreat into listening strictly to hyper-personalized, isolated tracks tailored perfectly to our own individual tastes, we completely lose those shared touchstones. We lose the ability to connect through a shared emotional state.
There's this great term coined by musicologist Christopher Small, musicking. He defines music not as a static noun that you just passively consume, but as a verb. It's an active relationship. It's a communal activity between people. When we stop musicking together and retreat into our own AI-powered headphones, we risk total cultural isolation. The relational element of human connection just vanishes.
Which brings us to our final point, Section 5, the human imperfection premium. Here's why humanity is always going to crave the raw reality of human performance. Look at chess. We've had chess bots that can absolutely demolish any human grandmaster alive for decades now. Yet, the human chess world is booming. Why? Because the entire point of the game is testing human skill against human skill. Music is the exact same way. We are ultimately trying to understand another human being's emotional state, not just listen to mathematically perfect sound waves.
In fact, legendary studio mistakes often become some of the most deeply cherished parts of a song's story. Think about the slightly mismatched meshed tracks in the Beatles' Strawberry Fields Forever, or the faint swear words someone caught on tape in Hey Jude, or that accidental piano stumble right at the beginning of The Police's Roxanne. A pristine AI algorithm simply cannot organically replicate that. These imperfections provide context. They remind us that real, breathing, highly fallible human beings were in a room together making art.
So the huge takeaway here is that the humanity polished out by technology is exactly what audiences will inevitably rush back to find. As algorithms completely flood the internet with frictionless, flawless, AI-generated tracks, raw live music will become the ultimate premium experience. Being in a dingy room with a less-than-perfect sound system, watching real musicians sweat, improvise, and sometimes mess up, that will become the highest value offering. The humanity itself literally becomes the premium class signifier.
So I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought to consider the next time you put your headphones on. When machines can generate perfect music on demand, will our human imperfections actually become our greatest art? Will the frictionless perfection of AI push us to value the flawed, messy, and profoundly human act of creation even more? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep listening, and I'll see you in the next one.